Okay, so what if you could take all that chaos swirling around inside you and transform it into a kind of deep, unshakable peace? Well, today we're going to dive into a really powerful framework for that exact journey. We're talking about a rebirth from the ashes of our own inner turmoil.
So let's kick things off with this ancient question that honestly gets right to the heart of it. The peace we're all looking for, it's not something you just stumble upon out there, right? It's something you have to build right here inside. And the very first step? Figuring out how to still that storm within. All right, so let's dive into that first stage. We're going to talk about confronting the storm itself, that internal battle that's behind so much of our restlessness. So, right at the heart of this storm, there's this concept called the nafs. And you can basically think of it as our ego. It's that wild, demanding voice inside, the one that's always restless. It's the part of us that's all about fleeting desires, always craving more validation, more stuff, and it's just never, ever satisfied. But here's what's really interesting. The goal isn't to, destroy the nafs. The source material actually calls it a transformation, a fertile, painful birth. I love this analogy. It's like a seed that has to literally crack itself open to grow. So it's all about channeling that raw energy, not just getting rid of it. And this is where you see this huge shift in purpose. On one hand, you've got the nafs, our ego, and it's totally focused on temporary stuff, right? The next promotion, the latest phone, a little bit of praise. But on the other hand, the soul, well, it's searching for something timeless, something eternal. This whole journey is about shifting our focus from one to the other. Okay, let's move on to the next phase, because this is where the real magic, the real alchemy happens. We're talking about the ordeal itself, this whole process of being reborn from the ashes of that old self.
And right here, we hit the central paradox of this whole journey. It sounds kind of crazy, but to become whole, you first have to let a part of yourself diminish. To really shine, you have to let your old self burn away. It's really all about letting go of who you think you are, just to make space for who you're meant to become.
I mean, this phoenix metaphor just says it all, doesn't it? The fire burns away all the ego's claims of ownership. My success, my talent, my looks. And then, out of those ashes, something totally free and untethered rises up. The soul just breaks free from all those earthly attachments. So what comes out of all this burning? A deep, unshakable inner peace. It's described as an internal fortress, a state of well-being that doesn't care if you're alone or in a crowd, if you're getting praised or ignored. Your peace, it finally, truly comes from within.
So this really intense process leads to a huge fundamental shift in how you see everything. You basically go from being the owner of your life story to becoming something totally different, a transparent witness.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. The ego's voice is always shouting, "I did it, look what I achieved." But from the station of the witness, the response is just gratitude. It's this deep knowing that our talents, our successes, they come from a source way bigger than just ourselves.
So what does it even mean to be a witness? Well, the source uses this really beautiful metaphor of a mirror. Think about it. A mirror reflects the sun, but it never claims to be the sun, right? It just faithfully shows the light without trying to own it. Being a witness is exactly that, reflecting truth and beauty without your ego jumping in and taking all the credit.
There's a classic example of this in the story of Solomon. When this magnificent throne just appears in front of him in a flash, his first thought isn't, "Wow, look how powerful I am." Nope. He immediately sees it as a divine grace, a sign of something way beyond himself. That, right there, is the witness perspective in action.
And what this transparency does, ultimately, is it allows the art, the creation itself, to take center stage. Instead of the artist, it's about getting out of the way. So whether it's an amazing piece of music, a brilliant idea, or just a simple act of kindness, the focus shifts away from who did it and onto the beauty of the thing itself.
Okay, so let's say you've reached this state of being a witness. How do you hang on to it? How do you protect that clarity you've worked so hard for? Well, that brings us to the last and absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle, the armor of sincerity. This idea of sincerity, or ikhlas, is really the soul of the whole journey. Think of it as the constant work of keeping that mirror clean. Because even when success is blinding and the applause is deafening, sincerity is what keeps you committed to remembering you're the reflector, not the source of the light. Now, this next part is a really profound way to measure it. Just imagine getting to a place where praise and criticism feel exactly the same, where they both have almost zero weight. When you're driven purely by the act itself, not by what people think of it, well, that's the sign of true sincerity. And man, that is a powerful kind of freedom.
This sincerity, it's described as the ultimate treasure that's born from the ashes of the ego. It isn't just a passing feeling, it's something solid, permanent, and precious, like an inextinguishable diamond that's left after everything else has been burned to the ground. All right, let's bring this all home. Let's look at how this whole internal journey can become a real sanctuary for us, especially in the crazy, chaotic world we live in today. So why does any of this matter, like right now? Because this inner state of being a witness, it creates a genuine island of peace right in the middle of a world that is obsessed with ego, with taking credit, and with what the Source calls these selfish identity wars. It's a quiet, but incredibly powerful alternative.
So let's just quickly recap the path we've laid out. First, you still that inner storm by disciplining the nafs. Then, you're reborn from the ashes by letting go of that need to own everything. You migrate from the ego's claims to the witness's gratitude. You protect that clarity with the armor of sincerity, or ikhlas. And when you do all that, you become a herald of an eternal spring, a source of renewal for yourself and for everyone around you.
And that leaves us with one last very personal question to think about. We've talked about how this journey involves a kind of burning away of the old self. So the question is, what fire do you need to walk through to find your own eternal spring?